Sahana vavatu Sahana bhunaktu Sahaviryam karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May the Lord protect us. May He nourish us. May we acquire the capacity to study and understand the scriptures. May our study be brilliant, and may we not cavil at each other. Om, peace, peace, peace unto us all. Dear brothers and sisters, loving Sai Ram to all of you. We welcome everyone to the Sathya Sai Baba Center of Arcadia, and we are now going to do the study circle on Gita Vahini, a commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, our Lord Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. So we are going to start, and if you have a hard copy, I have this page 118, and if you have soft copy, I think it is page 58, right? Karthik, is page 58, yeah. And if you have original Bhagavad Gita, you can refer. Swami went by like a great teacher he is, went by chapter, so he is actually talking about chapter 7, which is called Vijnana Yoga. And actually, we discussed last week shloka 14 and shloka 15 and now shloka 16. So these are the slokas. So he's going one by one. If you go to that original one and see, there are many commentaries. I think Bhagavad Gita is one scripture where the commentaries by the many people all over the world, Western philosophers, Indians, starting from Vinoba Bhave, Radha Krishna, Aurobindo, and a lot of great teachers we have, and like Ramakrishna Mission, many teachers, Chit Bhavananda, Gambhira, many things. But anyway, the best one is where the avatar himself is talking about his own, what he said before. So it is the only comment available by an avatar. So we are going to last week. So what did we talk about? So there are 4 types of devotees. He was classifying devotees. That is the shloka 16. Chaturvidha bhajante mam jana sukritino arjuna arto jijnasu artha-arthi Gnani cha bharatarshava. There are 4 types of devotees. We talked also, a nice example, we talked about what Swami's story about a wealthy man traveling and each one asking for things, somebody for medicine, somebody for wealth and jewels, somebody for books, and some only for him. So that is the beautiful example. And another example I thought is some to example. It is good to, Swami said, you should love God for love's sake, right? Love for love's sake. But it's not easy. Most of us have some wants, some desires, some afflictions. So we want somebody to go to for relief. In the world, what do people go? So they go to, they have a rich dad or rich grandpa or some political power. They go to the people in power and who are name, fame, and wealth. That is not good, Swami says. And we give the example of the Emperor Akbar. So the best is, if you have to ask God, who is the emperor of emperors. He has everything. So that is why he says they are okay. But that is not the ideal thing. So it is good to ask God for wealth health, and comfortable life, but that will one day end, because life is two things, like even Lord Buddha said, anityam asukham. That means temporary and full of pain. And dukkhalayam ashaswat, twice he says, Lord Krishna. That means it is alayam means temple. It is a temple of sorrow. Dukkhalayam, dukkha means sorrow, temple of sorrow. Like you have temple for worship, temple of sorrow, and ashashwatam, temporary. So we are all, as we get older, we realize, so one day you have to leave. As we get sickness, old age, sickness, and death, that is inevitable. There is nobody who can escape. So, but how best to make use of that time? So the Swami says, it is not long life what is needed, it is living a divine life. So that is what the whole teaching is. So this four types of devotees, Artha, Artha-Arthi, Jijnasu, and here we can see we talked about the example of that businessman, but it is in the scriptures, Bhagavatam, that also Swami talked in Bhagavata Vahini, where we can take the example of Gajendra. I don't know how many know. There is an elephant, so who is a devotee of God. He was a king in the previous life, but because of his arrogance, he was cursed to be a mad elephant. So he was, even in this life, he was arrogant because he was the king of elephants. But he was caught when he went to a bath. Instead of taking a bath, he went wild. He was playing with his wives, so many wives that the elephant had. So then, to teach a lesson, there is a crocodile got his leg. So this guy said, yeah, what is there? Crocodile, and he is so huge. So he will just shock. So then he thought, he didn't fought, went on for thousands of years, the fight between the crocodile and elephant. So because he wants to put all the effort possible, because he's a strong guy, and he has also all these friends and wives who help, then it is a lesson. They cannot help him. So they all leave him and go because they don't want to be caught in that situation. And then he was alone fighting. And finally, even that he realizes, I can't fight. Then he prays to Lord, only person who can help me is you. I surrender to you. So that is the kind of artha. That means when you are in distress, you pray to the Lord. This is called tamasika bhakti. So that means only when you are in trouble, you just call the Lord. Otherwise, just enjoy life. There is, as I said, khana, pina, sona, marna, just eat, drink, be merry and happy. So that is Tam. But he's still a bhakta. He was liberated by Lord Vishnu himself. But he realized because of his good karma of previous lives, he thought about God. Even otherwise, he would not have been thinking about God even in the distress. Most of the people don't. In distress, everybody thinks about God. I wish they do. They will go to some drugs, or they go to alcohol, or psychiatrists, and so all these other things, they go wrong company. So very few people in the times of distress going to God, that itself is the grace of God. People go to the other avenues. So that is the example of Artha. Artha means the one, say, I want to pass my exams, I want a good job, I want a good thing for my family. That is Artha. You want some material benefits from God. That is next class. So there, the example is Dhruva. Dhruva is also in Bhagavatam. He was a little boy, so he was insulted by his stepmother. So because he could be the wanted to be sitting next to his father, and he wanted to be on the throne. He was insulted and humiliated. Then he was advised, the only person who can. His mother said, "I can't help you because your father listens to the other wife." Then says the only person who can help you is God. So he goes into the forest and he gets the mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. He goes on chanting. After that, then the Lord appears to him. and says, what do you want? Because once you hear the vision of Lord, we have once experienced God, we think this is all trash and tinsel, this material, pleasures. Until you get, you want that. But once you, and this is not, so you want. So he said, no, I don't want anything. I want only you. So no. You had the desire. So rule the kingdom righteously and then go. So that is the prayer. That is the Artha-Arthi, just if they material benefit. And most of the people in the world belong to these two categories. As we said last week, so when you go to India, the temples are crowded like anything. You can't even get to 10 times what I was when I was, no, not 10 times, 20 times so than what I was when I was a kid. How many people say the time? 100 people? Now 20 times, there's a few 100,000 people everywhere, where you go to Ayodhya, where you go to Kashi or Tirupati, so many people. And so they have a big deal also now. So you do this 2,000 rupees, you can do this Archana, 10,000 rupees, you will have this, 100,000, you will have that. So this is all big business. So that is what the devotion has become. As Swami says, business, everything, education, medical care. So this is Artha-Arthi. So example is Dhruva. But then who is the final, the best kind? He says, Gnani. Who is the example? Bhagavatam? Anybody? Prahlada. Prahlada, from his childhood, he didn't care. The only thing he knew is how to love God. That's all. He didn't know. He was no fear. That is a sign of spirituality, is he has no fear, because most of us, as Swami says, full of fear. Fear of birth, fear of sickness, fear of old age, fear of losing wealth, fear of losing health, fear of losing beauty, fear of losing youth, and finally, fear of losing life, death itself. So life is full of fear, but Prahlada, no fear, completely fearless. That's why when his father threw him from the cliff of a mountain, or he made him have bites by the snakes, or put him in a boiling oil, or he had trampled by the big mad elephants, he was smiling all the time. Everybody said, why this guy doesn't, naturally anybody will be so scared with all this. Each one by itself is so scary. Then he asked, what strength you have? So he says his father is worried. Hey, you don't look like you are frightened. His mother was crying. So what strength you have to face this without all the time smiling? Because he is a Gnani. So he is the highest. Because I have the strength of the one who is the source of all strengths, who is the strength for you and the whole universe, even the creators. So he is that strength. So I have him. So that is why Swami says we have that confidence. We have God with us, no more fear. Why? Here, when I am here, Swami says, we should have that absolute fearlessness that happens only with the absolute faith in God and surrender. So that is what the example of these types of devotees. So finally he says, who is the nearest to the Lord? And the dearest to the Lord is a Jnani. That is where we discuss the three. I wanted to share those examples from the Bhagavatam instead of, in addition to that example what Swami gave. So you can continue now on page 180. Nirupama.
Sairam. The first three of the types of bhaktas mentioned in the Gita, the Artha, the Artha-Arthi, and the Jijnasu, all adore the Lord in an implicit form as paroksha. They seek the Lord as a means for the realization of their desires or goals. Of course, they will always be in prayerful and worshipful mood and remembering the Lord at all times. The Gnani, the fourth type mentioned in the Gita, has Eka Bhakti, while others have Aneka Bhakti. The others are attached to the objects or the states they desire, and for their sake are attached to the Lord also. They are devoted not merely to the Lord, but to the objective world also. The Gnani will not raise his eyes toward anything other than the Lord. Even if he does, he sees the Lord wherever his eyes are cast. That is the reason why the Lord has declared that the Gnani is the dearest to him. Of course, all are the same for the Lord, but among those who have reached his presence and are present there, prema is explicit, pratyaksha, immediate, directly cognizable, and experienceable. Therefore, it can be inferred that the Gnani is the nearest to the Lord and so the dearest. Of course, it is the nature of fire to warm you up when you shiver from cold. But how can it help you to keep warm if you do not approach it, but keep away at a distance? Similarly, those who are earnest to remove the chillness of worldly ills have to seek the fire of gnana, which is won by the grace of God, and be in the immediacy of God. The sadhakas, in the midst of their efforts, sometimes imagine God to be less glorious than he really is. They feel that the Lord differentiates between sinners and saints, good and bad, gnani and agnanis. These are unsound inferences. The Lord does not separate men thus. If he really did so, no sinner can survive his anger on earth even for a minute. All are living on the earth, since the Lord has no such distinction. This truth is known only to the Gnani. Others are unaware of this. They suffer under the false belief that the Lord is somewhere far, far away from them.
Yeah.
I've made a few notes talking about the different types of devotees, different types of bhaktas that we have. And Narendranath Uncle defined this too. And as we read later on, it's sort of part of the journey of a sadhak, but many times when people go through some sort of suffering, they really do look to God for some guidance or relief. And as they look to God for that relief, they start to want to know more. And therefore they become like a Jijnasu. And hopefully on that journey, as they stay there, maybe it will awaken that desire to be much closer and contemplate on God all the time in that level of Gnani. I think this part where what a lot of this is, to be a Gnani, you really do not see this objective world as separate from God. Swami wrote here, even if you see something that's not specifically God, you're still seeing God. Whether it's something that's inanimate or something that's living, there is a oneness throughout. Uncle, you mentioned fear, and I think that's this fear is what, and this anxiety comes from that separateness as we kind of begin the spiritual journey, when we don't understand that concept of oneness and the divine sort of law that carries everything out. And so that's where, if you see like a cat outside and you get scared, you don't see that cat as being just another expression of divinity. You see it as an animal that has claws and teeth and could bite or scratch you. But when you see it as something divine, you pet it, you talk to it, and you become comfortable, it will come to you. And it will also, allow you to pet it and have that connection with you. One of the things I was reading this that I wasn't sure of is this concept of pratyaksha. So I looked it up, thanks to Google. So it really is defined as perception. And there are two kinds of pratyaksha. There is anubhava, which is direct perception, And there's smriti, which is remembered perception, probably more like memories and things that maybe are triggered when you see something. But a lot of it is based on the senses and what we take in using our senses. However, once you get a little more advanced in your journey, that all kind of starts to fall away as well, because you're not putting so much emphasis on what you gain from the senses, but everything is just.
Yeah, the main thing is experience. That's why Swami calls Anubhava Jnanam, whatever you experience. Whereas this is bookish knowledge versus practical knowledge. Like somebody talks about mango. Mango is such a wonderful fruit. It comes from there. It is good. Whatever you may say, till when you eat and enjoy it, that is experience. You can't compare, you can't explain, you can't get it from the books or botany texts or anything. You take it and you eat it. Similarly, divine experience, divine bliss, something to be experienced. Once you experience, that is why all these saints and sages, they have experienced, they don't care like Mirabai, Surdas. Once they experience this, they don't care for anything else, because they say that is the highest bliss, more bliss than any other worldly comforts. But for that you need the grace of God. That is what, in the connection with this Chaturvida Bhajante Myam, another sloka he says, Namam duskritino muda prapadye naradhama maya apahruta jnana asuram bhavama. Swami talked about it just last week. We talked. To be able to have that feeling going to God is also grace of God. People who are ignorant, who are involved in sensual pleasures, they cannot think about God. We said, even if they go to a forest, they go to a satsang, their mind wanders on kamini, kanchana, lust and greed. So last week said, all men do not get the inner prompting to go to God and surrender to God. So that is, so the very fact all of us are here, don't take it lightly. Swami called us. Swami's grace is there. Without the grace of God, you cannot go to a place of worship, temple, or a satsang, read a scripture. For that you need to, the more you do, the more His grace comes, more we want to do. So first we need to remember this is all a grace of God, that we can go to a place of worship where they talk about God, where they sing about His glories and do His work. And second thing is, Swami says, here we were talking Eka Bhakti, Aneka Bhakti. So whenever you want too many things, that means your scattered brain, your mind is thinking, so I want this, I want that in life. So to really have love for God, you need to have that one-pointedness. So that one-pointedness comes, the Swami said, you cannot ride on two horses. So he says you need to have that one-pointed devotion. Actually, Sri Ramakrishna gave a beautiful example. You have a needle to sew, right? The thread, when they put through the eye of a needle, what do? There are some fibers there. So they make it with wet thing, they make it pointed so that it can go through. If there are all those fibers, you cannot put it through. Similarly, your mind is thinking about that work, or going here, going to this friend, doing this movies, all these things, they can't take you to God. So all those fibers will block you. So you need to have that one-pointedness. That is why Swami says, if you are really Aneka Bhakti, that means your devotion is not just to God. Your devotion is to your friends, or your wealth, your bank balance, your possessions, because they are all thinking. The more you are thinking about all that, that means that all that attention is gone those places. But the less you have that, the more it gets one-pointed. The whole secret is how to cut down all those pashas, all those bondage. That is the whole thing he was talking about. That, the reason he was telling here is why this man Gnani can do, but we cannot do, because of Maya. What is Maya? We talked about last time. Maya is nothing but I and mine, ahankara and mamakara, and kamini kanchana, thinking money in the times of always mind involved in the sensual pleasures. So till we get that, this Maya, we think it is easy. It is very difficult to get off. Because God said it is from Him. Mama Maya Duratyaya. Lord Krishna Himself said, it is difficult to cross my Maya. What is the solution? How do you do that? He gave the answer. Mameva ye prapadyante mayametam tarantite. Just mameva, that means only to me surrender, not to too many people. You surrender to me only, you will be able to cross. Because this Maya, I will give you examples. Sri Krishna is the Vishnu Maya thing. So his mother, Yashoda, she is blessed to be able to have God, to take care of God as her own son. So that's why Yashoda Nandana. But so he played the trick as if his brother, others complained he ate clay. He says, no, mom. So he plays all the games. No, open your mouth and let me look at it. Once she opens the mouth of Lord Krishna, what does he see? See all the cosmic universe, galaxies, planets, sun, moon, everything. She was perplexed. She was almost shocked. She collapses. Because she thought is a child, if you come for a 3-year, 4-year-old child, but she's all that shocked. Then, yes, my God, this Narayana, Vishnu himself, how could I do all this to him, beat him up, slap him, tie him here? Then God puts the Maya again. My God, I want to enjoy her as my mother, and I am her son. If she knows that I am always God, then she will be in a worshipful attitude. She won't have that mother-child relationship. So he puts the Maya. And again she forgets. She thinks, my baby, my thing. So this Maya is very powerful. Another story is there also in the Bhagavatam, how the Lord Brahma himself, he was subject to Maya. Brahma is the creator, and he is son of Lord Vishnu. So he sees this Krishna, he was playing with all the children, eating what they eat with their hand. He was also eating with them and playing. And he says, how could this be a supreme Brahman? So the mind plays even with Swami. He will be doing some little things like a village man. So he does. People mind will question, is he really supreme God? So he was doubting. So he wanted to play a game. Not a game, it's a trick. One day he goes and steals all the cows in the 5,000 cows it appears they had that time. He takes them away. So then Lord Krishna plays the games. Where are they? Where are they? Then by the time he comes back, he takes away all these Gopalas, his friends. He steals everything. Let us see this man, what can he do? Then Lord Krishna wanted to teach him a lesson. Hey, you are also deluded, because whenever your ego comes, he thought, I am the creator. I create everything. So he forgot Lord is the one higher than him. So then he has that ego, then God wants to teach him lesson. Then Lord Krishna himself multiplies into all these things. He just projects. So all those cows, all those children, they're all created right away, because by his will. But this time the difference is, these cows, everybody loves them more than before. And these kids, the Gopalas, they love, everybody in the town likes them more than before. Why? Because they're the part of the Lord, direct projection of the Lord itself. Then Brahma realizes and thinks, oh my God, God's Maya is so inscrutable, so hard. So what I'm telling is, we should ABC, always be careful, always be vigilant. Lord, like Sri Ramakrishna's famous prayer, Lord, don't delude me by your world bewitching Maya, because it is so. Any great saints, sages, like even Brahma himself, there is another story where Indra was also deluded by Maya. So to always be connected to God. So that is the way to be about that. So, anybody has any comments or questions? Huh? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, Saram uncle, am I heard?
Oh yeah, very well. So you are loud and clear.
Yes, uncle. Very nice discussion, and I have two questions, uncle. I'll ask them both, and then you can answer, uncle. Because when you say about those four devotees, so I didn't catch one. So you said Artha is Gajendra, Artha-Arthi is Dhruva, and Gnani is Prahalada.
Yeah.
So who is the Jijnasu?
All these philosophers who have they think about too much and write books and they have no direct experience. They're all jijnasu. They want to know about God, but they don't have experience. They have the scriptural knowledge, scholarly knowledge. They know the Vedas, Upanishads, and but they don't practice that. Those are all, and there are many jijnasus, people who are in the spiritual path but still not yet realized. They have sincere seekers, but they're not experienced that. So there are many seekers in the thing, many philosophers, you could say. I don't want to tell the names, then people judge, oh, he's a Jijnasu. There are many
Oh, okay.
that attain the goal, yeah.
Okay, the main question was
Actually,
Krishna.
you heard, oh, last you were not there. When Swami talked about the rich man and four wives, one
Yes,
was,
I know that story. Yes, Uncle.
the third one, Jijnasu was, who wanted books from the thing,
Book.
Buddhist book, that book, this book. That means they are more in information, bookish knowledge.
The major question every time when this shloka is spoken about, I keep thinking is Krishna tells that Chaturvidam bhajante mam means four kinds of people worship me, which is also kind of acknowledgement from Krishna that these he considers as devotees. So it's good to have that. But what about the fifth category that I fall into? Like I am Artha also, I am Artha-Arthi also. I don't know if I'm Gyani, but I'm a mix of all these three. Is that also a devotee of Krishna or Swami? Is he also considered? uh, is it wrong to be all the three types? And if I'm in the first three types, is it that I'll automatically evolve to be a Gyani at some level? Is there some extra effort that I need to put in, or continue whenever I'm in Artha I'll pray, when I'm Artha-Arthi I'll pray, like that?
No, it is good. So the very fact, if you are a jnani, you won't ask that question. So that itself says you are not yet a jnani, to be a jnani. So first, actually, you are not there for discussion. First, you start as artha when you have pain. Like Swami is the one, right? He says that does the miracles, visiting cards, he cures the illness, he helps the family problems, finances, and you want a job, he gives you. So artha. So Swami says artha becomes first, your distress is gone, your crisis, illness, or then you become arthata. You want a comfortable time. I want a job, this. So then you progress, Swami says. Then finally, as all these desires are fulfilled, then ultimately you said, yeah, this is all temporary. It is a bottomless pit, desires. One thing goes, next something else will come. So I will go to only God. So this spontaneous evolution, because where are you going? Instead of going to the world for your satisfaction or desires, for people with power, name, fame, and wealth, instead of that, you are going to God, who is the supreme. The more you think about God, even in distress, so it increases love for God. There's the greatest example is Kunti, mother of Pandavas. She prays, Lord, give me more and more troubles. Why? Because they take you towards God. Anything which takes you towards God is good. Because he says in a comfortable time, you don't think about it when you have a problem, a job, or at home, then or you have health issue, then you do more prayers, right? A lot of us, majority are like that. So the more you do that, automatically your mind gets purified and your love for God grows. So naturally you will become uh, progress toward jnani. But it takes many lifetimes. That is why there are also Lord Krishna in the same chapter says, Bahunam Janmanamante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate. That means after many, many lifetimes, a jnani will surrender to me. So don't think you can just, the very fact you are part of the satsang Aravind, that means you have a good merit from your previous lives. The very fact you are joining, you have that longing to know about God, know about His teachings. That is itself a sign of having devotion. So coming back to that, all are devotees. Anybody who thinks about God for any reason, it is devotee. But he says, I want you to be the best. Right? We all want to be the nearest and dearest to God, right? Swami says, you want to be
Mm.
the nearest to God? He says, only Jnani is nearest and dearest. Yeah, others are also there in the family. Actually, Sri Ramakrishna gave another example. Like in a wealthy man is there, so the servants, some servants can come up to the compound. People his confidants can come in the inside room, but only his wife or son can go into the inner chambers. That is like a Gnani. You will be having a direct contact, and we have seen that Swami also does that in different levels. So you want to be nearest and dearest to God. That is the purpose of life. Are you happy? You got the
Yes, thank you, Doctor. Yes. So it doesn't matter whether I'm Artha-Arthi or an Artha. As long as I turn to Swami as my first resort, it's good. It's a good path to progress on.
yeah. Actually, you should read exactly. That is what he says. Swami says in the same chapter last week we read that he says even instead of going, yeah, he said now a doubt may arise about the Artha Bhakta, the one who turns to the Lord to relieve his questioning. The question may be raised whether such a person is also a bhakta. There is no single person on earth who is free from some desire or other. Each depends on someone else. Now you are going towards God to depend, fulfill your desires, then you are a bhakta. He is superior, right? The superiority of this attitude can be seen because he says you are not going to people, you are going to God himself. So automatically, he says there are so many examples, right, in history, the devotees who cry for God when they are in distress. But he says, don't be ending like that. Finally, you should lead to come to a stage where love for love's sake. Like all these great people like Mirabai, she didn't care. She drank poison for her husband and kingdom is nothing. Even life is nothing because she drank the poison. So like that, people who love God, everything else is secondary to them. There is not. They will sacrifice their life itself. Like we have heard the story of Shaivite Saint Kannappa Nayanar. Is great how he didn't care his eyes. He gave up his eyes. He was willing to be blind to just in his love for Lord Shiva. That is why love implies sacrifice. Like that, Prahlada was happily willing to give up his life thinking about Narayana. So that is the important things to start someplace, but don't end always. Yeah, okay, this better to be Artha Bhakta. Today I pray for good admission in a good college. Oh, after that, okay, I'll pray for admission to have a good job. Okay, next I will pray to have good wife. Okay, then I want to have some nice children. Oh, then I want to send the children to good schools. Then send them to college. Then get them married. Then have the grandchildren, and then take care of the grandchildren and take them. So these unending desires, you will be cycle of birth and death, cycle of birth. You need to stop someplace, otherwise it is unending desires. So we should be careful to stop somewhere. So then you get out of the cycle. Okay, I think we can. Yeah, you have a question? Comment?
One of the things that we learn from Swami, many times, he just puts one simple question. For most people, Swami, first time they see Swami and or Swami talks to them, he asks a question very simply, what do you want? In that the first question itself, it puts the full test what we are going to tell him. And I have seen many people telling different answers. We can clearly say in which type of devotee. As it's easy to say, oh, Swami, I want this. Probably many people will say, but Swami, I want you, and then Swami, that is asking everything. That is also, it's very difficult. And one person very beautifully said, he told Swami that he wants happiness, and as happiness is union with God. So it's different levels of uh, ourselves. We can test where we are when we ask the question. So what I started doing is that, okay, let me ask myself all the time the same question what Swami is asking. Then you say, at one point of time, I says, I don't need anything, Swami. Just being with you. That's the best that you can ask. And that is the best thing we should always be.
Yeah, I think should become genuinely from the heart. We say, I want you. I remember one time, because all the students there in Swami school, almost probably the teachers train them. But when Swami says, what do you want? I want to only use Swami. So there was one devotee who was sitting on the veranda. He saw Swami likes that answer. He was from, I don't want to tell his name, very wealthy man, almost a billionaire from Dubai. He says, what do you want? Only use Swami. Hey, you have tons of gold underneath your floor in the house. Your mind is on gold. It's just coming from your... Swami knows you can't cheat God. He knows your inside. So your mind wants something, but you say something. That is, so God, everything is transparent. Only I want you, then He comes to you only. So that is the kind of... And usually there's so many stories of great saints, Sakubai, Tukaram, they didn't care for anything in the world except God. That is the kind of intense longing we should have. Then we reach the goal. Okay.
Sairam uncle, I'm sorry. Just when you said, it triggered one very sweet incident. I'll quickly narrate it. It was in Trai Vrindavan, and Swami took a letter from one small boy who was in first grade or something. And Swami sat on the jhula, read the letter. After reading the letter, he started reading it aloud, basically to tell all of us who are sitting in front that you are also useless. Look at the nobility of this child. And Swami was reading, Swami, I don't want anything. I just want to always be at your lotus feet. I want your love. And so Swami kept on telling, see how wonderful. But I remember sitting in the front, I was thinking, Swami, this is father or mother would have told. He's not capable of such thoughts. And uncle, in such a sweet manner, it happened that day that Swami showed I was right. Because after that, Swami became very happy. He told, boy, stand up. And he got up. He told, come here. He walked up till the Jula. Then Swami asked him, what do you want? Then he said, Swami, I've got cough and cold. Please make it all right.
Yeah.
And everybody, we started laughing. And in my mind, I was thinking, see, Swami, this is father as well. So when Swami, he didn't create vibhuti, but with his hands, he touched his nose and throat. And he said, it'll all be fine. Go sit. So, like you said, uh, to get even lip service is a nice thing, but it cannot stay at lip service level. It has to seep in, and we have to genuinely want God.
Yeah. Good. Okay, so let us develop that intense longing for God.